Positive reinforcement is when a stimulus is added, presenting something pleasant in order to increase behavior. When we cheered for Maci and gave her treats after doing something correctly, we added stimuli in the hopes that she would continue to do the behavior.
Yes, good job.
A cognitive map is a mental representation of the layout. When Maci continued to run through the maze, she built a cognitive map of the maze in her mind so she knew where to turn.
Latent learning is hidden knowledge that is shown when there is an incentive to do so. When Maci was allowed to roam through the maze, she knew how to get through it, but she did not do so until she was presented with a treat at the end.
Shaping is when you reward behavior step by step and gradually, or with successive approximation. When we taught Maci to jump, we first started with smaller distances and rewarded her just for stepping over a gap. Over time, we increased the jumping distance and continued to reward her for each larger distance jumped.
Wow, that's very interesting technique. I love it. So safe with the 2 books even.
Come on. Maci.
That's really interesting.
Discrimination is various behaviors associated with differentiated stimuli. Maci was able to discriminate between the sounds of other people's clickers and our clicker.
Yes, honey, that is excellente. Just at the end you slip up, but you do a really good job at the start.
According to the law of effect, pleasant stimuli increase the chance of behavior being repeated. When we rewarded Maci with treats, the likelihood of her continuing to run the wheel or to run the wheel in the future was increased.
That is cute, Maci. The carrot.
I like that it's a carrot and not some like junky food.
It's not.
Extinction is when a behavior stops when the consequence is removed. When we stopped giving Maci treats for twisting, the behavior stopped.
Spontaneous recovery is when the behavior returns when the consequence is presented again. When we started to reward Maci with treats again, she once again began to twist.
Sweetheart, that's enough. Where do you think you're going, on a date later? Come on, it's just for the camera.
Generalization is when one behavior is associated with similar stimuli. We rewarded Maci with different types of foods like Cheez-Its and sugar pellets, and she generalized that all treats to be a reward for a behavior.
Good. Now, if you want her to do it for basketball, right, you'll want her to move it without just, the food. So, like, let's say she... Notice that I don't reward it when it doesn't get the basket. Oh!
Good job.
Remember the video? You've got yourself a marble star. You were in the cage and then in Nicole's hair. Yes! Oh, she does it good.
Schedules of reinforcement is how timing of rewards can change the behavior. In the operant chamber, Maci reacted differently to different schedules of reinforcement, which are fixed ratio, fixed interval, and variable interval.
A fixed ratio schedule of reinforcement is when there is a set number of actions required before the consequence. In the operant chamber, Maci responded well to this because she was rewarded with 1 sugar pellet every time she pressed the bar.
A variable ratio schedule of reinforcement is when there is a random number of actions required before the consequence. When Maci was rewarded on a variable ratio schedule, she did not respond very well because she did not know when to expect the next sugar pellet. Sometimes she would receive a pellet after 2 bar presses, but sometimes she would receive a pellet after 8 bar presses.
This way.
One
more time.
Positive punishment is when a consequence is added in order to decrease behavior. When Maci cleaned herself, we would push her to annoy her and get her to stop.
Escape is when a behavior is done to stop the annoyance that is happening. When Maci wouldn't ring the bell and cleaned herself instead, we would annoy her. She would stop cleaning herself and ring the bell to escape the annoying behavior.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Maci.
Oh, she knows I'm having it.
of learning is learning that certain events occur together. Maci associated the clicker with foods, and when she heard the clicker, she would expect food.
With both hands.
Okay, I kind of couldn't
Go on. Do it again.